Visible? Jnanam ekam parachinai indriyai brahma nirgunam avabhati artha rupena bhrantya shabdadi dharmina. Jnanam ekam parachinai indriyai brahma nirgunam avabhati artha rupena bhrantya shabdadi dharmina. क्या गलती है भाई? हाँ? Oh, they are not watching. Okay, thank you. Jnanamekam parachinai indriyai brahma nirgunam avabhati artha rupena bhrantya shabdadi dharmina.
Jnanamekam parachinai indriyai brahma nirgunam avabhati artha rupena bhrantya shabdadi dharmina. Jnanamekam parachinai indriyai brahma nirgunam avabhati artha rupena bhrantya shabdadi dharmina. Jnanamekam parachinai indriyai brahma nirgunam avabhati artha rupena bhrantya shabdadi dharmina. Jnanamekam parachinai indriyai brahma nirgunam avabhati artha rupena bhrantya shabdadi dharmina. Jnanamekam parachinai indriyai brahma nirgunam avabhati artha rupena bhrantya shabdadi dharmina. Jnanamekam parachinai indriyai brahma nirgunam avabhati artha rupena bhrantya shabdadi dharmina.
Jnanam, knowledge. Ekam, one. Parachinai, averse. Indriyai, by the senses. Brahma, the supreme absolute truth. Nirgunam, beyond the material modes. Avabhati, appears. Artha rupena, in the form of various objects. Bhrantya, mistakenly. Shabda adi, sound and so on. Dharmina, endowed with. Those who are averse to the transcendent realize the absolute truth differently through speculative sense perception, and therefore, because of mistaken speculation, everything appears to them to be related. Those who are averse to the transcendence realize the supreme absolute truth differently through speculative sense perception, and therefore, because of mistaken speculation, everything appears to them to be related. very philosophical. Yes, somebody has come to read. Yes, Supreet, you can read.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I'm Supriya Prabhu, sir.
Yes, see, I guess.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Purport by Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. The Supreme Absolute Truth, the personality of Godhead, is one and he is spread everywhere by his impersonal feature. This is clearly explained in Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna says, everything that is experienced is but an expansion of my energy. Everything is sustained by him, but that does not mean that he is in everything. Sense perception, such as oral perception of the sound of a drum, visual perception of a beautiful woman, or perception of the delicious taste of a milk, preparation by the tongue, all come through different senses and are therefore differently understood. Therefore, sensory knowledge is divided into different categories, although actually everything is one as a manifestation of the energy of the Supreme Lord. Similarly, the energies of the fire are heat and illumination, and by these two energies, fire can display itself in many varieties or in diversified sense perception. Mayavadi philosophers declare this diversity to be false. But Vaishnava philosophers do not accept the different manifestations as false. They accept them as non different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead because they are a display of his diverse energies. The philosophy that the absolute is true and this creation is false, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, is not accepted by Vaishnava philosophers. The example is given that although all that glitters is not gold, this does not mean that a glittering object is false. For example, an oyster shell appears to be golden. This appearance of golden hue is only is due only to the perception of the eyes, but that does not mean that the oyster shell is false. Similarly, by seeing the form of Lord Krishna, one cannot understand what he is actually, but that this does not mean that he is false. The form of Krishna has to be understood as it is described in the books of knowledge such as Brahma Samhita. Ishwaraha Parama Krishnaha Sachidananda Vigrahaha. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. By our imperfect sense perception, we cannot understand the form of the Lord. We have to acquire knowledge about him. Therefore, it is said here, Jnanam Ekam. Bhagavad Gita confirms that they are fools who, simply upon seeing Krishna, consider him a common man. They do not know the unlimited knowledge, power, and opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Material sense perception leads to the conclusion that the Supreme is formless. It is because of such mental speculation that the conditioned soul remains in ignorance under the spell of illusory energy. The Supreme Person has to be understood by the transcendental sound vibrated by him in Bhagavad Gita, wherein he says that there is nothing superior to himself. The impersonal Brahman effulgence is resting on his personality. The purified absolute vision of Bhagavad Gita is compared to the river Ganges. Ganges, water is so pure that it can purify even the asses and cows. But anyone who, disregarding the pure Ganges, wishes to be purified instead by the filthy water flowing in a drain cannot be successful. Similarly, one can successfully attain pure knowledge of the Absolute only by hearing from the pure Absolute himself. In this verse, it is clearly stated that those who are averse to the Supreme Personality of Godhead speculate with their imperfect senses about the nature of absolute truth. The formless Brahman conception, however, can be received only by oral reception and not by personal experience. Knowledge is therefore acquired by oral reception. It is confirmed in Vedanta Sutra, Shastra Yonitvat. One has to acquire pure knowledge from the authorized scriptures. So-called speculative arguments about the absolute truth are therefore useless. The actual identity of the living entity is his consciousness, which is always present while the living entity is awake, dreaming, or in deep sleep. Even in deep sleep, he can perceive by consciousness whether he is happy or distressed. Thus, when consciousness is displayed through the medium of the subtle and gross material bodies, it is covered. But when the consciousness is purified in Krishna consciousness, one becomes free from the entanglement of repeated birth and death. When uncontaminated pure knowledge is uncovered from the modes of material nature, the actual identity of the living entity is discovered. He is eternally a servitor of Supreme Personality of Godhead. The process of uncovering is like this. The rays of sunshine are luminous, and the sun itself is also luminous. In the presence of the sun, the rays illuminate just like the sun, but when the sunshine is covered by the spell of a cloud or by Maya, then darkness, the imperfection of perception begins. Therefore, to get out of the entanglement of the spell of nescience, one has to awaken his spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness in terms of the authorized scriptures. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisheshai Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine. Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jnanam ekam parachinai indriyai brahma nirgunam avabhati artha rupena bhrantya shabdadi dharmena. Those who are averse to the transcendental realize the supreme absolute truth differently through speculative sense perception, and therefore, because of mistaken speculation, everything appears to them to be related. Hare Krishna. Just to check audio is correct, please put in the chat box. So Srila Prabhupada talks about Jnanam Ekam. It's really interesting what somebody tries to do to acquire knowledge. Vedas put in so much effort. See, a common man, if he wants to acquire knowledge, he starts seeing things we call Jnanendriyas. Through the eyes, through the ears, through the nose, through the tongue, or touch perception, tries to see this world. Common sense. Correct? Anybody will try to do that. But very interesting is that even in the simplest of the Shad Darshanas, this is being challenged. This is called Pramana. This is coming from Gautama. And he challenges whether this evidence is correct. But this was, and all the Shad Darshanas accept Shastra as the source of real knowledge, even though they didn't arrive at the right conclusion except Vedavyasa. But look at the joke. All the philosophies in India, except the Charvaka, everybody, when you're looking at the absolute truth, through the senses, we're trying to acquire the knowledge. What is the final source of the truth? They started challenging the source of truth first. This is common sense, no? Suppose I say, I'm seeing clouds in the sky, this should be challenged, whether this is true. Correct? All I can say, Today I am having an experience that I am seeing clouds in the sky. I cannot say definitely that I am seeing clouds in the sky. Because you can create something, some kind of, illusion for me to see like that. Possible, no? I cannot be 100% guarantee what I see with my senses. Yesterday I was reading they're telling, scientists are telling, about the age of the universe, all our calculations are wrong. Acha. In school, college, they teach as if these are all, truths. Right? We are sorry actually, we are totally wrong about the age of the universe. Look at the joke. The date is also written 17.5 billion years till now. Now suddenly they say, actually we are totally wrong on the age of the universe. Why don't they agree? Now, if suppose somebody every day changes that, what will you say? Please, I don't want to hear anymore. What do you say? अब मैं और नहीं सुनना चाहता, वो काफी है. In a court of law, if somebody keeps changing his, there is something called, nobody is a lawyer here. In the law, they resubmit the argument. You are allowed to resubmit the argument. You can submit the whole case again. No, it is another way I want to submit. The judge allows that. How many times will he allow? After some time, say, please, enough. You can keep changing shamelessly. You teach something as a absolute truth, and then you can come back and say, I'm sorry, actually it's changed. So this is 300 years of science. They have not understood this fact that was discussed. Perhaps even the sages, India has, true, Indian spirituality is not from bottom to top, but even if we take it like that, they understood this, they were thinking about spiritual matters, trying to reach absolute truth for thousands and millions of years. What we know in the Western part, at least recently, the civilization, that is just few hundred years old. Just few hundred years old. It has, this has been known in the history. In fact, interestingly, China and India were the richest country of the world through the history. It's only things changed recently. The 50% of the world GDP was with China and India for a very long time. The rest of the world was like, okay, time pass. So anyway, so the point is this, that how we could do this, and based on the wrong foundation, based on the wrong conclusions which are coming from the sense perception, the whole world is being driven. Somehow the world, the Western countries made some money, okay, whichever way, by hard work, by looting, plundering, but whatever it is, their money. And then the people in India who used to actually learn everything from Shastra got bewildered. When the Britishers came to India, it's not only that by force they rule the country, but seeing their standard of life, the Indian people are wonderstruck. True or not? This is a fact. And then, after that, which was very dangerous, they started commenting on the Vedic literatures, which has not happened in previous rule of Muslims. And that did the maximum damage. People may be poor, may be rich. Actually, India was the richest country even when the Britishers came. But people were totally confused in the conclusions of the scriptures. And even to this day, on one side, somebody goes to a college and he studies science and he studies technology. On other side, when at home he tries to read Gita and Bhagavatam, he is not able to reconcile these two things. And general media, general academic institutions totally reject the Vedic literatures as some fantasy. Correct? It's called Krishna, the god of Hindu mythology. This is the title in every newspaper, every day. Krishna, the god of Hindu mythology. That means you are some idiot if you are following it. Correct? And the young educated people, the last thing they want to do is to do something with it. I met one professor in one college. He was telling, my son tells me this all is bullshit, all this Vedic literatures. He said, no, both the sons tell me like this. So this is a result of modern education. Anybody, in childhood, parents take them to temples, children buy far, beta jai karo. But later, as they come to terms with the science and technology, they just cannot reconcile the two things. That's one thing. But this was the one kind of damage that people could not reconcile in India, because for a certain time, Europe was a leader in the development of technology. Correct? Sure? They were the leaders. All the discoveries you see, these people are from Europe. Newton, everybody are from Europe. But what people could not do is that they could not reconcile. That was one kind of damage. People could see the benefits of technology, but they could not reconcile the conclusions of the science with the spirituality. Even actually, they are two different fields altogether. In spirituality, we are studying the nature of the soul and its relation to the world. In science and technology, we are actually manipulating matter. Both are two different fields. There is no reason of a clash there. But what actually happened was more dangerous thing. The people in science started analyzing the scriptures and started commenting on them. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, by Krishna's arrangement, was placed in such a situation. He vehemently wrote, because in India the seat of power was Bengal at that time. He was placed in Bengal. And in Bengal, the elite society was called Bhadra Samaj. Bhadra Samaj means they are very elite, intelligentsia, whatever you call the cream. And they were getting totally bewildered by the Western science and technology, totally getting bewildered. And they were getting confused about the foundation and roots of Indian culture, that is the Shastra. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is in the same situation. He is the highest post Indian could achieve, magistrate. He had that. He used to write so many books that he was being respected even by philosophers around the world, including so-called Western philosophers. He was stunned. And he took the role, therefore, to vehemently support, and not only that, took charge of the mission of Lord Chaitanya, revive it. And finally, most important thing is that he made beautiful statements. In fact, he ordered himself started spreading the message of Krishna consciousness, protecting it. Just think about it. If he was not there, everything would have been lost. Just think about it. If Bhaktivinoda Thakur was not there, whatever remains of the Vedic, if there is some, philosophy which can actually understand the work of science, which can understand the work of spirituality, reconcile them for the benefit of the world, that is the Gaudiya mission. You see, so unique it is that it is able to utilize all the facilities of science to spread spirituality. That's why Yukta Vairagya, which was left by the Goswamis, were actually put into practice from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his son Bhaktivinoda Prabhupada and Prabhupada. Yukta Vairagya says that if anything is there in the world, whatever it is, can be used to spread the message of Krishna. When Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, Prabhupada's guru, bought a car It was shock in the spiritual circles. Swamiji having car. He had a car. And he used to, and that was Rolls Royce of those times. That was model. In Rolls Royce, so many models. And he used to travel in that, meet the leaders, even British leaders, and very vehemently preach. He made 64 mathas, and he was known as, what is a Lion Acharya. So, whatever we see today, established by Srila Prabhupada, is coming down from the Guru Parampara, and also each Acharya contributed to make the success that Srila Prabhupada did. How much struggle you do not know Bhaktivinoda Thakur had to fight against this notion that somebody by birth becomes an Acharya. That's called Nityananda Vamsha. Some people claim in Bengal that they belong to Nityananda's family and only they can give Diksha. Interestingly, Bhaktivinoda Thakur Diksha was from such a guru only, Bipin Kumar Goswami, and he neglected it. After some time, when he comes to know the things, he started neglecting. He knew this is not important. His guru became Jagannath Das Babaji, that you write in the Guru Parampara. So this is very interesting conclusions. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati and Srila Prabhupada took it up. Okay? So Prabhupada used to say, that not only we just play Ghanta and do Kirtan Hare Krishna, we should also be able to establish in mass of the society the conclusions of the scriptures. We should be able to even need it, if needed, even challenge the scientists in their conclusions, scientifically. Therefore Prabhupada worked in all angles. So when we try to see the truth by our own gross senses, we get some limited vision and some very limited experience. Like a frog in a well, there is a word given in the Shastra which is called Kupamanduka Nyaya. What is the problem with Kupamanduka Nyaya? He is having a limited experience through his limited senses, and through that he wants to know the absolute truth. It's not possible. Is it possible? Not possible. So that is what is actually happening. And therefore these varieties of conclusions have come which are very different from the absolute truth. As shloka is Jnanam Ekam. The truth is one. Krishna is Supreme Personality Godhead. Ekala Ishvara Krishna Arasam Bhritya. Everybody else is a servant. But we do not see that. We don't see Krishna. Are we seeing Krishna? No, I see a sky and I see some cloud. Where is Krishna? We cannot see. Yes, you cannot see from your direct senses. That way you will not reach the absolute truth. So you have to see Krishna through oral reception, through the message coming from the Shastra. We have to understand Krishna. That is Prabhupada says in the world, in the shloka, Jnana Chakshusha. We have to see Krishna Shastra Chakshusha. Through the knowledge which comes from the Shastra, we have to see Krishna. And if we see like that, we can actually conclude Krishna's presence. And as we practice spiritual life, as given by Srila Prabhupada, chanting Hare Krishna, actual truth will become visible. Wow, look at this. One thing is that 300 years, millions of scientists having some conclusion, and every day saying, I'm sorry, I'm going to change it now. We said 17 billion years, I think we will make it 50. I will make it 10. Even the number of species, they used to say for a long time, 250,000 species. And that is 25 lakh. And I used to know Shastra says 84 lakh. I used to find over what is this. Now they say 87 lakhs. They change. Every day they change. Yeah? Shastra 84, so some 84 and some maybe some mistakes by them. So funny. So please do not be bewildered by these conclusions coming by speculative knowledge. Speculative knowledge means, that is called Shabda Pramana, Anumana Pramana. What is the value? Prabhupada used to say, we want facts. Suppose in a court the judge is there. So who did the murder? And one person says, I think he was there. And next day says, sir, I have to resubmit. I think he was there. What did the judge say? Throw this witness out of the box. I don't know to hear. I want facts. Correct? Any court will go without, I want facts. He said, no, sir, he did the murder. Okay, he will make a note. Correct? If he said, I think, sir, perhaps must have been, why people are getting so cheated? And the Shastra, which says everything vehemently, conclusively, we don't want to accept. And confirmed by so many great acharyas that yes, we have also seen the truth is like this. Again and again confirmed. And nobody has confirmed. It is so speculative. It is even so illogical. But you have to accept it. And when a Shastra says, no, Krishna created the world, confirmed from the Shastra, confirmed from great acharyas, and we start doubting it. And when somebody is making statement, perhaps, must have been, we believe it. Just imagine the joke. They teach us the science is knowledge and the Vedas are belief. How painful it is. It is actually reverse. It actually reverse. But you need to have intelligence to be able to figure this out. Therefore, when Srila Prabhupada lands in America, he says, I'm going to make them intelligent. Actually, he does that. They think they're very intelligent, but actually people are very, 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 very foolish. Very foolish. Vimuktamayinaha. Te arvindaksha vimuktamayinaha vai ashtabhavat avishuddha buddhe aruya krichena param padam tata patanti anadadu ismatangreha. Ye arvindaksha, ye anya arvindaksha vimuktamayinaha. So Brahma says, there are some people, Krishna, that think they are liberated. Referring to the Mayavadis, but the scientists can also put in that category. They think they have the truth. They think they have the truth. Tvai ashabhavat avishuddha buddhaye. But the problem is their heart is not clean. Avishuddha. Shuddha, avishuddha. The heart is not clean, full of unwanted material desires. Desire for power, desire for... So once your heart is not pure, you become biased. Just like a judge in a court. When his heart is not pure, he becomes biased. Okay? He will go to some direction, somebody is witness, and give a wrong judgment. Ye arvindaksha mumuktamayinaha tvai ashtabhavat avishuddha buddhe aruhya krichena param padam tataha. Such people, even if, particularly not talking about the Mayavadis, scientists are behind them, Mayavadis are greater than them, because they can reach the Brahman level. Ye arvindaksha mumuktamayina tvai ashtabhavat avishuddha buddhaye aruhya krichena param padam tataha. Even though person may reach the Parampada, in the sense we may merge into Brahman, patanti anadadu yusmatangreha. Because they neglected to worship the lotus feet of Krishna, they fall down. So, Krishna ye bhaje se bada chatura. By great fortune, Srila Prabhupada has made us intelligent. Just imagine, who are we in front of big scientists? Suppose there is a big medical conference, big doctors are discussing. Even the terms we get bewildered here. Correct? You hear the terms? Somebody said yesterday, I want exeothromycin. I said, what? I knew erythromycin. One new one. Even terms we get scared, so big terms. Anna? They describe same small bodily symptom, but they have big terms. We can't even remember these terms. Extremely intelligent people. But unfortunately, they don't know the truth. And our IQ is not very much. Correct? But we are able to understand the absolute truth because of mercy of Prabhupada and Krishna. Not only we are able to understand that actually Krishna resides in Goloka, having his wonderful pastimes, and in Vaikuntha having another amazing set of pastimes. we are able to believe it. We are having some faith in it. Now this is because we accepted the shelter of the greatest of all the scientists, Srila Prabhupada. Actually, what mistake the scientists are doing, they are using wrong process to know the truth. They also want to know the truth. But avishuddha buddhaye, they are not really keen to know the truth. Otherwise, they will not be cheated. If somebody cheated, is fit to be cheated. But the mistake they are making, they are not taking shelter of Prabhupada. But the Bhagavad Gita says, if you want to know the truth, tad vidhi pradipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadakshanti te jnanam jnaninam tattvadashinaha. All the books of science, they should begin with Prabhupada Pranam Mantra. And then they should discuss what he has taught. All the science will be corrected tomorrow. But they don't want to accept. Tad vidhi pranipatena. Pranipatena means take shelter of Acharya. The only difference between us and them is that we took shelter of Prabhupada, they didn't take shelter of. That's all. Somehow by good fortune, by good luck, by good association, somehow we took shelter of Srila Prabhupada. Bhai, idhar se sunte hain. And our life is changed. Correct? And these people, somehow in Bhagavad Gita, they said 4 kind of people do not surrender to Krishna. One of the categories, Mayaya Aparhita Jnana. They think they are very intelligent, they are very smart, they are very... Maya has stolen all the intelligence. And they are not able to... And don't think, Maya is very clever. He can steal anybody's intelligence. If such top scientists can be bewildered, who are we? Big Mayavadi scholars are bewildered, who are we? Maya can jhatke mein take away all the knowledge that we have. Mayaya aparhita jnana. It is only by the mercy of Prabhupada and Krishna. It is said, Kalyuga, particularly Kalyuga, there are sharks. Suppose you are swimming in water, there are million sharks, very dangerous fishes. They are compared to the nonsense philosophies, these scientists, these Mayavadis, and being saved from their conclusion, I'm coming to accept Krishna consciousness, as really a miracle. None of the scientists will accept the conclusions of Krishna consciousness. None of the Mayavadis will accept the conclusions of Krishna consciousness. None of the so-called philosophers, whatever we can say, humanitarian philosophies, whatever it is. But somehow this philosophy, that if I just please Krishna, my life will be successful. Abba, this has been a miracle. And having able to put even 1/1,000,000th of a gram of faith in this, how wonderful a life is becoming. And if we can become more serious and sincere, actually this is the real path of happiness. Okay. Hare Krishna, thank you everybody. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you.
Krishna Prabhuji, thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji,
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 Dandavat
Pranam.
Pranam. For wonderful class,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
everyone.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you everybody. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.